You tuned in to the 7-Day Theory. Hard body, hard spirit.
Room this morning after being arrested here in Los Angeles last night. The Department of Justice says it has revived a case that was rejected by a federal judge last week. It involves the disruption of a church service in Minneapolis by anti-ICE protesters that Lemon was covering as a journalist. KTLA's Omar Lewis live in downtown LA with this breaking news. Omar, good morning.
Good morning, Frank. Yeah, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says she directed the arrest of independent journalist and former CNN anchor Don Lemon and 3 others. Lemon, as you mentioned, was arrested here in Los Angeles last night. Pam Bondi says that this is all in connection to what she calls a coordinated attack at that Minnesota church during the protests. Lemon now denying any wrongdoing, saying he was there in his capacity as a journalist. We are expecting to make his first federal court appearance here at the federal building later today. Want to take you to the video, though, and tell you that federal authorities arrested Lemon in LA last night. His attorney says while he was in town covering a Grammy Week event at the Fairmont Century Plaza. Federal officials say the charges stemmed from an incident on January 18th in which Lemon and dozens of anti-immigration enforcement protesters, they rushed into a church in St. Paul, Minnesota. The group allegedly interrupted the service there that led to tense confrontations. While it's not immediately clear what exact charges he is now facing, federal prosecutors have argued the disruption crossed the line into interfering with others' rights to worship. Lemon says he was there in his journalistic capacity documenting what was happening. The case is raising questions now about where the rights to protest end and press freedom begins.
Shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
But there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest. So look, I want to thank everybody for their support. It truly means the world to me. I have no idea what's going on because obviously I haven't seen anything. I have spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now. In fact, there is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable. Again, I will not stop now. I will not stop ever. Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I had been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silenced. I look forward to my day in court. Thank you all.
What up, my people? You tuned into the 7-Day Theory. Hard body, hard spirit. Check this. This is what tyrants do. This is what tyranny looks like. This is what third world countries do. What happened to Don Lemon, right? Let's break it down. Don Lemon, cover the story. Protesters who was protesting a pastor who is one of the heads of ICE, or the pastor at the church that the protest was at, his job is to be an ICE agent, or he's involved with ICE somehow, right? That's why they protested in that church. Now, whether you think people should be protesting inside of churches or not, that's a separate issue. This issue, that's a whole nother separate issue, right? And really, freedom of speech gives them the right to do that. But should they do that right in the church? That's debatable, but that's not what we're talking about here. Don Lemon was not a part of the protest. He wasn't. Was he there? Was he inside the church with cameras and as a journalist? Yes, he was. And that's what he got locked up for. And you understand that, like, listen, they made whole movies about, what's the Ben Affleck movie where the journalist was in some Middle Eastern country, and they kidnapped or held not kidnapped, but they held the journalist hostage, and then they had the U.S. government had to fake like they were shooting a movie to get access inside the country to free them, right? And over the years, I've heard of, it's been in the news, been in national news, where journalists have been jailed, right, for just doing their job, and we had to go over there and fight for them to get out, and we had to, you know what I mean, we had to do all that, right? But now in our own country, under the Trump regime, journalists are getting locked up for just being journalists, right? So we fight to get journalists out in other countries, that's ours, but we do the same thing here. This is what I'm talking about. This is what tyranny looks like. This is what a tyrant looks like. And this is not no new thing, like Donald Trump been going against the Constitution. For everybody all the right-wing people who back when we had Obama as president and Biden, they was like, everybody was so gung-ho about, oh, don't tread on me, don't mess with the Constitution, don't mess with our amendments, right? They stick to the Constitution, and whenever anybody try, or in the amendments, and when anybody that's on the other side, Democrats, try to even a little bit play with that, they want to protest and be so loud, right? But Donald Trump been doing this for all both his terms. The first one, January 6th, he said words that led to a protest that people literally attacked our Capitol, the U.S. Capitol, and congressmen and women that were there, right? Then he didn't want to leave office. He was trying to act like he didn't want to leave, right? Which is another thing that goes against the Constitution. Now he's talking about running for a third term. Another thing that goes against now our First Amendment rights is being taken away, and you see it. And for real, ICE and the way that and these unallowments are going, they really moving like that World War II regime that we beat. That's how they moving. That's how they moving out here in the streets. That's the vibe I'm getting. They're masked up. You can't see their faces. Like they moving real evil, like for real. And so this is just another example of why the Trump regime, he wants to be a dictator. He does not want to be a president. He's trying to be a dictator. Look, when you start locking up people for just reporting on stories, that goes against our First Amendment right, freedom of speech, freedom of press, right? That's our right, a freedom of press. And we know Donald Trump's history with the media. He can't stand the media. He's the one who made the coined the term fake news and made that popular, right? Because he goes against the media, right? And I'm not saying all media is good. It's not. A lot of it is propaganda, but we should have our right to at least cover stories, right? And portray whatever we want to portray that's in the news, right? We got that right. And we have freedom of speech. So how he got locked up, and I don't even know what the charges are. They said the charges were something just like nothing that made sense. Nothing that made sense at all. And Don Lemon, look, shout out to Don Lemon. I'm not the biggest Don Lemon fan, but shout out to him for just doing his job and not being scared to do his job. Because some people might have got arrested and they might have been like, you know what? I'm not covering no more ICE protests. I'm not covering nothing that got to do with ICE, right? But he said it himself when he came out. He said, look, this is not going to stop me. I won't ever stop. Matter of fact, this time right here is the most crucial time to report on stories and to be a journalist, right? And get the truth out there because of what's going on under this administration. Donald Trump, people, this is the closest I've seen in my lifetime to a president getting really, really close to becoming a dictator or trying to become a dictator. I never witnessed in any other presidents go against the Constitution so much and the amendment so much and really want to just be a dictator like that. You could just see it. You could just tell it by his actions, by his words, everything he does. You can tell if he could, and he tries to do things that are dictator-ish and dictator-like. And I'll bet if he was able to do that, if he would go full tilt if he knew he can get away with it, because he's already trying and he's not getting away with some of it. He is, but some of it he ain't. Obviously, like leaving, like he didn't want to leave the office or whatever after he lost, and then he's trying to run for a third term, right, and stuff like that. So let me know what y'all think in the comments. This is wild. This is stuff that happens like in Middle Eastern. Like this should not be happening in America under our Constitution, under our amendments, under our rights. This should not be happening at all. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. We got memberships, $1.99 a month. If you sign up for the membership, I will shout your name out at the end of every video. Shout out to the 2 members, Angela Reddick, John Paul. Keep your head up and your eyes open. I'm out.
You're now listening to the 7